Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the One Pot Wonder. We're starting up a new session today, and so we're in session 8, class 1. So this is going to be our last session for a while. One Pot Wonder is going to take a break after this next 6 weeks, and I think we're in class 43. Which is absolutely amazing. So I hope you are going to enjoy this next 6 weeks, and we're going to build a group in your Messenger. Hopefully everybody has Messenger, and we're going to build a private group so that we can have some good communication and share the recipes and the videos that we're doing. And if you guys switch up your recipes or have some ideas or don't like the recipe and want to try some new things, please let us know, because we are just kind of looking at different recipes that we get, and we do get some donations, and so we're very grateful, but we look forward to spending some time with you for the next 6 weeks. So big thank you to the Community Initiative Program, which is the CIP grant that are helping us again for this next 6-week session. And we have the food center that graciously donate every week, and we have Kim Hurst behind the camera. Thank you, Kim, for joining us again. And then we also have the Pekani Child and Family Services, who also are still continuing to come faithfully every week, and they help in every capacity they can, plus they help delivery. So who am I missing? The Creekside Community Church is once again offering us their kitchen to provide the program, and a big shout out to them. And we have the co-op that is very diligent with us each week, and they help us to fill our orders and help us even pack it into our vehicles. So we're very grateful. And then we have lots of community volunteers that are kind of coming as they can, and we couldn't do it without all the help and the support of our community. So can't thank everybody enough. And on behalf of NAPI, I hope you enjoy this. So let's get started. And today we are building a chicken burrito skillet. And so I've added a couple of extra things into this recipe. And so in your bags, you should have some green onions and some shredded cheese, some chicken broth, some long grain rice. Now keep in mind, this is long grain rice, it's not minute rice, but we'll get into the details of that as we progress through today's recipe. We have stewed tomatoes, we have black beans, and we have some sour cream, some corn, some garlic, and tortillas, and some taco seasoning, and some cilantro. So we're going to get started, and we're going to, we have some chicken as well, but I have it thawing at the moment. So we're going to get started, and we're going to bring out the chicken and start to dice up our chicken and into some bite-sized pieces. You don't need to cook it as a whole piece of chicken breast. It is to be diced up in small pieces. And we've kind of taken off and opened up our cans, so we're going to drain off our black beans, it's in kind of a slimy sauce or watery, I don't even know what you would call it, but we need to drain that off and then rinse those black beans so that there's none of the liquid on them. And that's normal, by the way, if you're not used to working with black beans. It's in their own sauce, and it's kind of as the beans sit, I think it just gets pasty, like a kind of carbohydrates, because it is a protein as well. So yeah, so we're gonna get that ready, and we'll be back shortly. Okay, so we've done a little bit of prep behind the scene, and we've cut up our chicken breast into just bite-sized pieces that we're going to add into the ingredients. And we've cut up our onions into just kind of a minced it's a small onion. We did the whole onion. And we've also minced up some garlic into some just very minced pieces. So I just wanted to take a second before we put everything together and do some cooking. Is you're gonna have a your bulb of garlic. So you only really need for a serving of 6, you're gonna need 3 of these cloves. I guess that's what they're called, right? So to do that, you just need to take the pieces apart, and there's several in your garlic bulb. And then what I do is I just press on it to open it up, because otherwise it gets a little hard to take your skin off. And then I would just cut your end pieces off to be able to open it up. And then you're gonna just peel your skin off, and it comes off very easily if you just kind of put pressure on it on your counter. And then you just proceed to kind of chop it up into your tiny pieces. So it just makes it a little easier. Yeah, so we're gonna put this onto the stove, and you can use, if you have a deep skillet or a larger frying pan, or even a pot, you can use a pot, because it is a 1-pot recipe, because everything is gonna go into this pot. So we're gonna put our chicken in, and it doesn't matter if your chicken is still frozen, you can still cut it up into your pieces. There will be a little bit of moisture that comes out of your chicken. And let's turn our elements on. I would put your element between just above medium to start, because once you have everything together, you're gonna just kind of leave it on a little higher than simmer, so between medium and minimum. So anyway, to start, we're gonna just use our meat, our garlic, and our onions, and put it all together and let that, as they say, saute and brown your chicken. And I'm just gonna move this garlic over so that I can put this in. And some people don't like garlic. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to. It does add a nice flavor though. And we're just gonna let this simmer. And once we have our chicken browned, then we're going to come have our beans and our diced tomatoes, our corn. The corn is an actual add-on. You'll notice that it's not in your recipe, I don't think. We had some extra corn, and corn is used in a lot of Mexican dishes. So I just added that in for you guys as an extra. If you don't like corn, you don't have to add it in. And if you don't like cilantro, you don't have to add that in as either. That is kind of, you can either cook with your cilantro in your actual recipe, or you can use the cilantro just as a garnish in your burrito. So, and those that are not familiar with cilantro, it comes from the celery family, and it is very frequently used in Mexican recipes. And it's used in salads, and yeah, it does add a nice flavor, but some people don't like the texture or the flavor, and some are allergic, so it's a personal preference. Anyway, we're gonna let this saute, and we'll be back. So we're gonna rinse off our black beans, and I would just put them, if you don't have a colander, you can just use your lid, or put them into a bowl. And I suggest putting them into a bowl, and I'll show you why in a sec. So in this can, you'll see that there's lots of remnants of the beans itself. So that part you don't want to put into your soups or your sauces, or in this case, the burritos. So we just want to rinse the beans off, make sure that they have all of the I don't even know what to call it. Is it? It's
almost like you would explain a silk.
Yeah, yeah. So we rinsed it off with cold water, and those are ready to go. And so we're gonna take our beans and our corn and our tomatoes and rice, and we'll meet you at the stove. So when you look at your chicken is going to be like this. And it looks like you have, like the water that you will get off of your chicken is quite normal because it was frozen. And then always when you freeze meat, there's a water content to it because of the moisture in your meat. And also you'll notice that there's like white curdly effect on your chicken, and that also is quite normal. And that is just the cooking process of chicken. Most chicken will, well not most, all chicken tends to have that. So you don't need to worry about rinsing this or taking your water off, okay? So just leave that in there. And then we're gonna add in our beans. Now I'm doing a recipe, I've doubled the recipe, and so I'm using 2 cans of beans. This is a serving for 12. So I've used 2 pounds of the chicken to 2 cans of beans. I'm only gonna use 1 can of corn because the corn is just an accent. You may have 2 in your bag, and that's okay if you have a larger family to do your recipe. And I also have 2 cups of uncooked rice, which is the long grain rice. And that requires, when you're cooking rice, it's the same concept. Because you need 2 cups of water to 1 cup of rice. And then I have 2 cans of tomatoes. I don't think I'm going to use a full 2 cans for this recipe, but I'm going to use about half of this can. And then we'll be using the, I'm going to put 4, I think we should be able to get 4, maybe 5 cups of your chicken broth. So this is 2, and I think we'll be able to get, yeah, we should be able to get at least 4, which is perfect. And then we're going to let this simmer, and you're going to leave it, I would stir it occasionally, but we're going to let it simmer for about 25 minutes. You need to make sure that your your rice is cooked, and just give it a stir occasionally, and we will be back shortly. Okay, so we're gonna put the taco seasoning in, which is for your burrito flavor. And I'm using a whole package because I have a double recipe. And then we'll just stir this up. Now this taco seasoning will also give you a bit of a thickener in your burrito mixture. And if you find that your recipe don't panic if you're like I am right now. Don't panic if you have a lot of liquid in your burrito recipe here. Just keep in mind that the liquid will absorb in your rice. The rice does take time to cook, and just keep your lid off of your cooking process and just give it a stir every once in a while and just let it cook. And we'll be back. Okay, so this is done. It should have a little bit of moisture. It'll be almost, this is what is normally would be your texture or in your recipe for your burrito. And you don't necessarily have to use your tortillas. You can just put your trimmings in a bowl and put your garnishes on top. But for today, we're going to use this as the burritos are not baked, and that's another way that you could do them is once you have this made, you could fold these up and put your cheese on top, or add a little bit of extra tomatoes or your salsa. You could pop them in the oven and melt it that way, and that's enough for this one actually. So we're gonna just come over here to the garnishes and we will put stuff together. So we're gonna put our cheese and our onions and a little bit of our sour cream. And then we're gonna put a little bit of the green onions just as an extra flavor. And you can put a little bit of your cilantro in. And then you can, this one has a little bit too much in it, but you can eat it like this, or you can put a little less of your burrito in and wrap it. And then bon appetit.